What's going on YouTube?
Washington.
This is boy Party for here once again. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Jamarty4 here once again. I'm sorry that this video is going up so much later than the previous two, but I just needed a day of rest, relaxation, and just to kind of take my mind off of some things. I had an interview earlier today, so that actually went well. So be that as it may, the video is still here now. So we're here to talk about the newest episode of Queen Sugar that aired Wednesday night, this past Wednesday. And it was sort of like a setup episode. There was a lot of people who broke through a lot of insecurities, and a lot of people who kind of gotten broken through making decisions. So I think it's a good setup for kind of how the rest of the season, or how at least the next few episodes of the season are going to be. And we're kind of getting some protagonists and definite antagonists this episode. So this starts off with, really, we can just get Aunt Vi and Hollywood all out the way in one good go, because they have basically just been going at it the whole time, this whole episode, like rabbits. They've been in the bed. They've had multiple rounds in the bed. They was out in the jacuzzi, dude, getting it on. They have just been having a good old time, okay? Because he's been away. And somebody in the comments can help me understand this, because I don't think I'm catching or understanding what happened or remembering what happened from last season. I know he left for work, or he took a job in a different city because I guess they were breaking up and she was kind of being cold to him for the whole wife thing, and he decided to move away because, you know how people do when they break up, they want to have some space. So they had this whole fire, scare or whatever. And I wanted to know, what exactly is his job? Because I'm not 100% sure what his job actually is. Is it in a power plant, or I'm not sure. Somebody let me know in the comments below. But as they're having their fun, he gets a call, I guess, from like a boss, a manager, or whomever, that basically says they have to come back in like the next couple of days. So y'all just had this whole big, I think some people may have lost their lives in this fire, and we don't really know. They don't really tell us exactly how long they've been, out of work or away from the plant or whatever, but they said they basically got to go back in the next 24 hours or 48 hours. I'm like, that's a little soon, but okay, I guess. I hope y'all got everything fixed over there so we don't have this problem again. Excuse me. But, first he's trying to, he's kind of sad. Vi's making up the bed, and we thinking that she's about to be, like, oh my God, baby, please don't go. Baby, she rolled that sheet back up. They said, well, if you got to leave in the next 48 hours, I guess we got to get back to business. I'm just like, well, goddamn. She's like, we're going to get every ounce of this 48 hours that you got left. So he eventually, sits her down, says that they want to work on this relationship, and he decides to leave that job and to come back and stay with her because she's far more important. I'm like, okay, this is good. I like this. This is a happy moment. I'm happy for everybody. They're getting their relationship back together. Kudos for them. Now I got them out the way. So Nova and Charlie talk about how Micah is still not eating. He's basically just sleeping all day. He's not saying much. And, still basically processing a lot of the emotions, a lot of whatever goes in through a 15, 16, I believe he's 16 years old, mind, and being basically racially profiled by the police and brought into a police station to be held under arrest. We already saw he peed himself, so, something like that can really, take a person some time to deal with, especially if you're young, you ain't really experienced nothing like this before. So, but throughout the episode, Charlie's trying her best to kind of communicate with him and actually asks a question, which I actually had forgot about from last week, was she was so taken aback, remember, by Davis saying that, oh, Michael wants to have joint custody, or share custody. He told me this himself. And she was like, oh, okay. So she asked him directly, did you tell your father that you want legal shared custody between us? And he said, well, I said I wanted to see him more than I have. But she's like, no, no, no. I need to know, did you say the words that you want your father to have shared legal custody? And he just kind of looked off into the distance. She's like, that's what I thought. You just said that you wanted to spend more time with him, which is completely different than having legal shared custody of a person. So Charlie goes back to Davis and says, basically, you lied. You mixed his words. You tried to make it seem like he wanted to share custody, and he did not. He just basically said he wants to see you a little bit more often, and you're low down and dirty for trying to mix and match a 16-year-old's words. And Davis gives this whole speech about how he feels, oh, you know my background. You know I didn't have a father. You know how your father and your mother kept things civil, and your father, even though you were living way off in California, he was in Louisiana. He still was able to raise you, and I didn't have that. I want to be there in Micah's life and such. Gave this whole speech, y'all. And I was like, I mean, that's a point. I mean, it's never a bad idea. Well, I can't say never. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. I almost lied. I was about to say there's really never a case where a father should never be in a child's life, and there could be plenty of cases. The father could be crazy and unstable and all kind of stuff. But in this case, I mean, of course he's done his deeds, but I guess, it's still important for Micah to have somewhat of a relationship with Davis in this situation. But he was giving this whole speech, and you could almost tell, like, it was believable. But she said, for a second there, I almost thought you were sincere. Charlie's not buying the BS. She's not buying the BS today, so she's like, look, if you try to do anything crazy, I can make this a whole lot worse for you. But then Davis stops her, like, I know you forged my signature for that loan application. And she's just like, oh, if y'all remember from that video before, I told y'all that was going to bite her in the behind. I knew it was. There's no way that this is just going to go unscathed, no repercussions. Nah. So he's like, so if you, try to battle this whole shared custody thing, like, I could go to the court and, basically expose you for fraud. And she basically was like, you know what? You do that, because if all this comes out, I bet you money, I'll still be the winner. I'll still be the one to come out on top. And then she leaves. So I was like, she's ready to fight this to the bitter end. She really is. So let me get Nova out the way. Oh, well, actually, yeah, let me get Nova and them out the way. So Nova's been invited to, be on a panel at the symposium in Atlanta, for her journalism and whatnot. And during one of the little, I guess, icebreaker party, she's introduced to, I forget his title, what his official title is called, but he has been doing a lot of work in the same field or similar to the field that Nova's in. And they have this little conversation, like, how when somebody introduced you to someone at like a formal event, and you kind of have to have this small talk, and you kind of know that they're trying to introduce you to either build a personal relationship or a business relationship. And they kind of knew that. They've done this many times, so they just kind of was like, look, we don't even have to fake the funk here. We already know how this is. You haven't run any of my work. You probably know that I haven't read any of your work. But, these are the kind of parties where people try to build a network and stuff, so we don't even have to sit here and pretend like we are familiar with each other for real like that. And you're like, you know what? I appreciate that. So they get to the symposium, and you can kind of tell, like, they have like a little professional debate. Whereas to me, it sounded like the gentleman whose name escapes me, because I know I'm bad with names, leave it down in the comments. But it seemed like he was saying more so that we are strong, we are natively strong-willed people who can fend for ourselves and have been for a long time. Whereas Nova was saying that, he was kind of dismissing sort of the fact of how, the government treats us as a racial people. And as it kind of goes on, you can kind of tell that they're both sort of saying the same thing, but just in different ways. And he kind of interrupts her one minute when she started talking about that rally that she had. And he says, it was beautiful. It was well put together. It was definitely showcased the point that I was trying to make of how we're strong enough to do X, Y, and Z. And you could tell in that moment that she was kind of looking like, oh, okay, that was a little hot that you said that. You could tell the Nova was like, okay, that kind of made me feel a certain kind of way. You can see it all in her eyes, because that Nova, they haven't really, or at least to us, to our knowledge, Nova's kind of gotten down with the swirl up until this point. This is the first time, I think, unless I'm mistaken, that I can remember. This is the first time that we're seeing her deal with an African American man. I'm just saying. It's interesting. It's almost like, she had this feeling on like, oh, so this is what it's like, So they have their little, date, I guess, if you want to call it. They're like walking and talking and discussing different issues. They start mentioning about how Katrina was and his work that he did with Katrina. And they're just basically sharing ideas. And you can kind of tell that it was a flirting, that he was kind of interested in her, and she was kind of like not really knowing how to feel about it, but she was enjoying it nonetheless. And I think it's good. I think, because Nova's kind of been on this, I don't want to call it self-destructive love thing, but first season we saw her dealing with, the police officer who was married. Then we just, after she kind of broke that off, she was dealing with this girl. I can't remember her name, but that didn't really work out. And it's like ever since then, she's just kind of been just randomly hooking up with people to seemingly fill some sort of void. But now I guess she's kind of feeling like she's met somebody who can kind of stimulate her intellectually. So I think that's what's kind of making him stand out right now, as opposed to some of the other men that she's dated. So good thing, thumbs up for Vi for getting her, a new man. Now, let's see, have I gotten through everything else before we leave this last part? Okay. So the big part of this whole episode is the fact that Blue is outside, playing with his toys or his dolls or what have you. And he notices a little drone thing in the sky. Now, at first, I thought it was either one or two things. Like, when I first saw it into frame, that he was that it was him controlling it, and he just didn't know how to control it. And it was like a kite or something, or like one of the little remote control toys that they be having on TV. But then when he was just starting to chase it, I'm like, okay, no, that's not him doing it. And then I'm thinking, like, is somebody else like playing with him with the toy? And then, like, the more I looked at it, I was like, wait, no, that ain't no toy. Like, that's somebody with a camera trying to, like, a drone hovering over and recording stuff. So I was like, uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. And then it crashes, and I'm thinking that, like, it crashed to Blue. He done been cut by the propeller or something. Because Ralph Angel runs out and is, like, trying to figure out what's going on. And he pulls the little thing down and sees that it's a camera. So you know that he's hot. You already know that he's already hot and, frustrated. So he takes it and goes into, and basically barges into the office of the, I guess he's the Boudreaux. I guess he's the one who's the last name. It's the younger guy. I think he's the Boudreaux, and like his grandfather or the older relative is the Landry, who own all the land surrounding the Borderline farm. So he goes in, he barges into the office and, says that, you know what? This is going to be quick. Because at first you can see that he tried to play stupid. He's like, you've been coming onto my land. He's like, I haven't stepped foot on your land. He's like, look, so you not even going to be a man about this? All right, fine. You do that. You know exactly what's going on. He pulled the drone out of the bag and was like, look, I need you to stay far away from my stuff. Don't try me. And as he was trying to leave, he was like, you know what? You really shouldn't let your son play outside by himself. He could get hurt. Baby, why did he say that? Why did he say it? Because you know that Ralph Angel don't play about Blue. That's the one thing he may let you get away with a lot of things. He's not gonna let you play about that boy. So he rimmed him up, held him up, and was like, look, don't play with my son. Don't play with my family. None of that, or me and you gonna have a problem. And the guy tried to call him like, yeah, you said, do whatever you want to do. Because, you know, if you do anything, I'll lock you away because you're a convict. And I'm like, really? That's, I don't know. Something about that just seemed very weak and just like a cop out. Like, really? That's how you're going to threaten me? You can't really challenge me on your own, but you have to try to lock me away. Mm-hmm. So he basically just threatened him like, look, you come back again, we're going to have a problem. Tells Charlie about the incident. Of course, Charlie's pissed, but she's even more pissed at the fact that he didn't tell her about it before he went and basically threatened this man. So Charlie goes in to the place, and oh wait, no. I just skipped the whole part. They're laying down at night. Okay, it's the middle of the night. But he hears some noise, you know, through his window. And he peeks through and sees somebody like hauling, I guess it was either sugarcane in a truck at night. So he's just like, oh no, here we go. He pulls up that shotgun. Now, honestly, and he kind of, you know, goes out into the yard. Honestly, I thought he was going to shoot at them. Just straight up at them for being on their property, because I really think he could have if they're on his land. They had like bags over their head, I guess to hide their identity. So he shoots a shot in the air, and then they scurry and they leave, and one guy gets left behind. Ralph Angel tackles him to the ground and reveals who he is. Now, I don't know if he's been shown before, because it didn't look familiar to me, but apparently Ralph Angel knew who he was. I guess he was like a family friend of the farm or whatever. So he brings him, Charlie, and the other farmer who's been helping them out. And the guy basically says that, look, apparently, you know, times are hard financially for me. And long story short, the Landrys paid us to come and steal from your farm. You know, I've been telling my wife and kids that I've been picking up extra hours at work, and I've been coming out here doing all kind of ungodly deeds just to, you know, keep food on the table. And so, of course, Charlie's ready to call the police. She ain't really with the shit. So she's ready to put him in jail. But then Ralph Angel is kind of like, you know, we can have this a different way. You know, everybody deserves a second chance. And she's just like, a man just came up onto your lawn and tried to steal from you, and you're just going to let them walk away? And Ralph Angel's like, you know what? When you don't know what it's like to look your kid in the face and know that you can't do right by them, and that a man will do bad things just to support their children or their family. And he's like, I know what it's like, because y'all remember in the first, I don't know if it was the first episode of the first season that Ralph Angel went inside the store and robbed it of candy or whatever, just so he can go back and give it to his son to eat. So he understands. But, you know, Charlie at first isn't really there. She doesn't really understand. She just sees that somebody just tried to try us. So they deserve to be put in jail. So this is when Charlie goes into the office with Ralph Angel. And she's like, you know, hey, boys, how you doing? He said, we're actually seeing you in the daytime. And they're like, what were you talking about? He's like, oh, so we're going to play stupid? See, we want you to know what this feels like for people to come up to you, you know, unannounced. The only thing different between you and I is that I'm doing it in the daytime, okay? Where you come out to try to steal from us in the nighttime like cowards. And, you know, they already tell they were busted. They knew they were busted. And the guy was like, so you think that our family who's been in this for over 100 years, and you've been doing this for like, what, 3 months? You think you can take us down? She's like, I think you need to be asking yourself that question. Now, when she said that, I kind of didn't understand why she said that. Or maybe I just didn't get it. I could be slow, but that's okay. Y'all let me know in the comments. I was like, that wouldn't be the response that I would have had, okay? It basically is another idle threat because they basically setting up the field for the episodes or for the future episodes. There's going to be the Landrys versus the Borderlands like this all throughout the season, and I'm ready for it. I think it's going to be great. It looks like, you know, she's going to get this whole Queen Sugar Mill thing going, so it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of clash at each other and how this is going to play itself out. And I believe that's everything. Charlie finally signs over the loan to Ralph Angel. She understands his point of view now, and of course he's grateful and thankful for that. She drops off Micah to his father's house, and, you know, basically says, "I'm going to allow you to have this experience with him, but if you mess this up, I will end it immediately." Which is basically what he said. So the episode was good. I believe it was a sort of a setup episode, more so less, like I mentioned before. But it was still great nonetheless. It's still one of my favorite shows. If you like it, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your favorite party episode was, what your thoughts about the season so far. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe. Jamar, Washington.